Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Luci Liebfried in Chicago. Put the kids in bed and get comfy because you're about to have a Paranormal Friday night. Welcome, friends, family, fellow investigators, and those who are new to the field. Today, we are celebrating our 3rd anniversary, and, well, what's an anniversary show without you, the listener? So, of course, tonight we want to hear from you. Call into the show and be on the air live by dialing 661-244-9831. Press the number 1 to get your call into the queue, or you can type in your question in the chat room. Anthony and I will refer to them during the show. And if you're listening on the archives or on YouTube, well, then make sure to get here on Friday nights live. When you're not listening to us, you can check out our Facebook page and YouTube channel for some cool articles, videos, show highlights, and promotions. And if that's not enough, you can always drop us a line at paranormal.review@aol.com. Okay, kids. It's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
Of course, and so when the show starts, I start to get hiccups. And so I had to run just now to get a bottle of water. It's going to sound like I'm drunk. Although I'd love to be drinking right now. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Can you believe it? 3 years?
I know. I'm so excited. Best night of the week ever, Friday nights, with everybody that listens to us, with you, Anthony. It's just, thank you, everybody.
You know, I still keep looking back and thinking back to the first day and the first show that we ever did this. I still remember that day completely. Nervous wreck, sweating a ball, and I mean, if you guys go back and listen to that first show, it was what was it on? It was on the End of the World, right?
The End of the World.
It was I can't even remember that pastor's name. I can't even remember what it was, but it was on the rapture and all of that stuff, and the end of the world, and was it really true, and what people were doing. We were talking about sort of what crazy antics people were doing and taking money out of their banks and forming all these groups and all this other stuff. And so we were just going through it, and it was just Luci and I talking. No guests, nobody. I mean, for the first, 4 shows, I guess it was, we had no guests at all. But it was, I didn't think we'd last more than 4 shows if that was the case. But we hung in there, and after the first show aired, I got hooked completely, and it didn't matter anymore if we got listeners. If we only got one, which I think the first show, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 listeners. Now we're in the thousands. But even if we only had one listener, and still to this day, if we only had one listener, I'd still keep doing it. I not just because I love to talk or I love to hear myself talk, but and you do too, so don't start laughing. But I think just getting the message out there and just us, you and I, talking things through and learning about the paranormal, it just makes it a little bit more fun than if we would have just read the books and talk casually on the phone. This just makes it a little bit more fun. And if we engage folks out there, if it's one or two, or if it's 1,000 or whatever, then hey, great. We've included a lot more people, and hope that we've inspired others to do things out there. Either to form groups or to research more, or do radio shows, or to do blogging, or to do whatever. We love that. We love all of that inspiration, because there are many people that inspired us to do this. So it's nice to sort of pass things along and move things forward.
Well, like we said, I mean, this show just basically started from the conversations that we had, and listening to those first shows it's really painful, because
it's cringing, isn't it?
But you know what? These shows are really they're the conversations that we have personally, and we just happen to invite in a few extra people, and it started from maybe one or two, and now there's thousands that join in the conversation every week, and it just gets better and better. Really does.
So, each year, and I really want to get into the show tonight, because we've got a lot to cover. And I really want to go down the past year and go over the shows and give you guys a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look, some of the conversations and some of the, things that you may not have heard before, things that happened after the show or before the show, things maybe Luci may not want to talk about. I don't know. But I really want to get into some of those things right away. And so maybe we should start to hit some of the clips. What do you say?
Okay. Yeah. Let's start.
So, every year we try and outdo the year prior. We always say that, and I think we've tried to. Do you think, Luci, that we've tried to up our game? I mean, we try and do that each week, but I think each year we try and up our game, at least try and stay a little bit more current to what's going on, and more of meeting the demands of either the community or our listeners and what they want and what they're requesting. Do you think that we've sort of hit the mark on that?
I think we have. What I find that's kind of amazing is that even when we're sitting around and we are talking about, the shows that we want to do, for some reason we always seem to hit on things that are kind of current. I mean, even when we plan a show ahead of time, like maybe a month ahead of time, by the time the show airs, I mean, it really is something has happened within that area. So we have been very, very current. We've been very lucky. We have gotten some amazing guests, and it's always, how do I put this without sounding weird? I would listen to the show even if I wasn't doing it.
Well, there are other shows, and I don't want to get into this tonight, but there are other shows that, either they cross the line and they go over the edge a little too much, I think, and focus on sort of one-side things. Either it's more of the darker side, because that usually tends to get more listeners or more of an audience, which I get and I understand. We see that whenever we have those types of shows. But we also have the other side. We have the educational side. And I'm not into gathering an audience. I'm not here to try and see, how many hits can I get today? That's not what we're after. We're trying to balance things out a little bit, and we're hoping that the balance that this show puts out is able to educate people enough to understand what the paranormal is about, and that it's not all about the dark, or it's not all about the spiritual. There are two sides, or there are three sides, or there could be even four sides to every story, and that's what Luci and I put out in each and every one of our shows. We even do that on our Facebook and Twitter, and whatever other blogs that we have going on, which I don't know about. But
we're on Tumblr.
Yeah, Luci keeps track of all of those things. But we try and keep things a little bit more balanced. It's not the Fox network, believe me, far from it. But we try and keep things a little bit more balanced in nature, so that you understand it more completely, and you get a little bit more of a diversified ideology of the paranormal in itself. And so with that, though, and before we get on to the shows that we want to talk about, I do want to do a little bit of a shout-out to the folks that are in chat right now, which, Noah, you are amazing. You've been on our show many, many times. Thank you so much for all the contributions that you have done with us, for us. You are an insightful gentleman, professional.
And sexy.
And, of course, sexy. Intelligent. You're an amazing man, amazing professor. Your students are lucky to have you, and we thank you for everything that you have done for our show, on our show, and for our listeners. You know that we always love to have you come on our show, and we will be inviting you back on our show. So thank you for all the contributions that you have done. I'm not repeating what Mateo just said in chat right now. I'm going to keep moving forward. We have Fritz in chat. Thank you so much. We have Jenny D or Jeannie D, Lynn Pettigrove, Trina Morton, and I do want to give out a shout-out to two of our favorite folks who I've already mentioned in our Superfans page on Facebook. But these two folks who are in chat right now are very near and dear to Luci and I. They have been with us from the very, very beginning, when we were very, very bad. Not that we're very good now, but when we were extremely bad, and we're only just very bad right now. Connie Diamond and the Red Phantom, Mateo, the two of the best friends anyone can ask for. The support from these two folks has been amazing throughout the 3 years that they have been by our side. They have been our cheerleaders, our support team. They've given us guidance. We've given them guidance. You know, it's been such a great camaraderie between all four of us, between Luci and I and Connie and Red Phantom, that it has just been amazing. And so I just wanted to thank them both for everything that they have done. And also, they've been on a couple of our shows doing the roundtables and such, and I think we're going to have that back on again, so we'd love to invite the both of you back and have that back on. I know Connie mentioned that in our Facebook page. So, again, from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of Luci's heart, I know she's going to want to say something now, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you both truly.
Well, you know what, guys? You two have become more than just listeners. You guys are really, we consider you friends, and I can't think of anybody that I wouldn't rather have in my corner than both of you. Both of you are just amazing people, and thank you for being there for us. And, you know, I totally expect you to be here for the next years. As long as we're around, you guys better be around, okay?
As long as I don't fire Luci, right?
Well, yeah. That goes with the behind-the-scenes things. I usually get fired at least once a week, you know.
Exactly. All right, let's get on to memory lane. So we're going to go back to the show right after our last anniversary show, which was back in October. I'm just scrolling down right now. October 25th, 2013. Luci, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yes. This was one of the shows, you know, every once in a while we do shows that we get feedback, and sometimes the feedback gets a little bit crazy, sometimes it gets a little goofy, I mean, it gets support, you know, but this was one of the ones that when we announced this show, we were very surprised at the reaction that we got from certain circles, and this was our live exorcism show. We actually had Brother Carlos Oliveira from Brazil who came onto the show, and he was going to talk about, you know, the actual act of exorcism. and then he performed an exorcism on Anthony and I. So it was an interesting experience, and I do want to ask you, Anthony, since that exorcism, has it helped?
No, I didn't feel anything that night either. There wasn't anything going on. But in any case, just to get back a little bit to the behind the scenes of that show, yes, we did get some backlash before the show even started. We were hounded by a high member and I'm not going to give names, but a popular member who has been on a popular paranormal show, who is not a priest, I'll just say that, and has been on our show before, who gave us a little bit of a backlash for wanting to have this show on, or this topic on our show. He did not want to have us discuss this at all, and members of his group also hounded us via messages and via email, telling us that we were wrong for doing this, that basically we were evil for putting on a live on-air exorcism. And we explained to them, not that we needed to explain to them at all, but we explained to them that we were not going to project anyone or put anyone in place or in harm's way, anyone unsuspecting, placing a victim, as what they were calling it, in any harm's way of a live on-air exorcism via phone. By the way, this wasn't done in person. And as we were explaining this to these folks, they proceeded to backlash us. And the argument that I had come back with to them, both of them, was, what arguments or what precautions do the both of you have to people when you both host and promote ghost hunts and investigations where you invite quote-unquote victims to haunted locations, and some of which have been known to be demonically haunted, and you invite people in? What precautions do you give these folks? And so why would you then condemn me for talking about an exorcism and talking about a live on-air exorcism? And there was no response. And all I got was, well, it's just not right that you're doing this. And so needless to say, we have not spoken to either of those people since then, and we have not had them on the show. And since then, we have learned that this high-level religious person has now opened up a demonology class online and is charging people to teach demonology. And I don't want to get into this. If you get to what I'm alluding, you can probably find out who it is, and I'm not going to say who. You can look it up online. There is a website for it. The curriculum goes into everything about demonology. You have to spend money. You have to buy the book and do all of this. He does state that he does not give certification for this class, but you will learn a detailed list of demonology, and you can. He does say on his website, though, that it would be good to have your fellow investigators learn this. Now, why would you need your fellow investigators to learn this? Why? Because his means is that you can utilize these services if you are in a haunted location. So this whole ideology just does not make sense. And so the method of their arguments were never based on anything, in my opinion, and so therefore I know that we've been vindicated in putting on this show. Not that the show was anything to talk about, because I never really believed Brother Carlos Oliveira, and I never believed his whole thing that he can exorcise people over the phone or via Skype or anything like that. But I wanted to bring it, and Lucy wanted to bring this type of show forward to expose people to this sort of thing and to show people what it is all about if you've never been exposed to it at all. So before I play the clip, did you want to add anything, Lucy?
Yeah, you know what, the whole thing, the exorcism show, of course, I didn't expect anything to happen. I didn't think that it was going to be dangerous in any way. But this whole the person that you're talking about just got me to thinking about others who are charging for learning about, demonology, exorcism, charging people hard-earned money for things that you pretty much can go on the internet and do your own research. A lot of the so-called curriculum are basically things that you can look up online, that you can go to your library and pick up the books. It just made me think, it's like here you are, you're asking people to spend their hard-earned money. So I have a little bit of an issue with people that charge for things that pretty much you can get anywhere. So that just kind of highlighted that. And, I'm needless to say, I'm just kind of disappointed in the way that things are presented. And it's sad. It's just very, very sad.
Well, here's something to think about. If you are a high-level priest not priest, it's not priest, but you're a high-level clergyman, religious person in this theology that you are in, why do you need to go to demonology? Why can't you charge someone to teach spirituality and the religion?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do that? Why do you need to go to demonology? Why? Because it grabs people, and you know that it will grab people, and that's what's going to pay your bills and buy your whatever, and put money in your wallet. And so that's the only reason why that pisses me off. But here we go. I just wanted to show you what happened on the show. If you didn't get a chance to listen to a live exorcism, and this was when Brother Carlos Oliveira from Brazil was doing a live exorcism on me. I just have a 3-minute clip. I just thought it was funny because I loved his accent, and I love when he just keeps saying devils, you devils, you devils. So listen to the exorcism that was performed on me.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Again, I want to preface this like we did that night. If you think that you are going to come in any kind of harm or something like that, you are free to turn the show off. If you think that there's anything that's going to come through that you're going to get, it's going to open up any kind of doorway or anything like that, turn the show off. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Okay, I gave you enough time to turn off if you did. Here we go, live exorcism on me back in October 25th. Here we go.
Father, I ask right now that you camp your angels around Anthony, around Luci, and all the listeners and their family members to protect them and keep them safe from any form of retaliation or attacks of the devil and his demons. I also ask right now, Father, that you camp your angels around me, around all my descendants, all my family members, around my ministry partners and friends to also protect us now and keep us safe from any form of retaliation or attacks of the devil and his demons. And we declare Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against us shall prosper in the mighty name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, devils, listen to me. You demons inside Anthony right now, listen to me, devils. You know me, right, devils? You know that I don't play games, don't you? You know that I don't play games, right, devils? You know that I expose demons, don't you, devils? I'm exposing you right now, unclean spirits. And as I address you, demons, and I'm casting you out, I want you out of this man in the name of Jesus Christ. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, now I take authority over every demonic spirit, principalities and powers that entered this man when he was doing his investigation and going to haunted houses. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I now bind these devils and evil spirits. Demons, I command you now to get out of Anthony right now. Come out of him. In the name of Jesus Christ, get out of him right now, unclean spirits. Sickness, disease, infirmity, get out of him right now. Come out. Come out. In the name of Jesus Christ, get out. Come out now, infection. Come out now, stomach problems, intestinal problems. I command you now to come out, evil spirits. Those of you dwelling this man inside his body, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, devils, you have been exposed by the blood of Jesus Christ. You have been exposed by the authority given to me by Christ Jesus. And I command you now to come out of this man. I bind every demon and every devil inside this man right now. Come out. Come out of him right now. Come out, depression. Come out, depression. Come out, panic attacks, demons. I command you now to come out of this man. Come out of him. Fear, come out. Fear, come out. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, panic attacks come out of this man right now. Take your nasty hands off his body. I command you now to come out, the spirit that had been tormenting him in his sleep. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, insomnia, sleep disorder, I command you now to come out of this man. Get out of him right now, devils, because I am commanding you. I am commanding you by Christ. And I come against you, devils, by the authority given to me by Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, which is recorded in the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, which says, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy, and nothing will harm you. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I command these evil spirits now to come out of this man. Evil spirits that enter him in those haunted locations, I command you now to come out of him, evil spirits. Get out now, seance devils. Come out now, Ouija board demons. Get out. Come out of him right now. Get out of his brain. Come out of his mind. Come out of his soul. Come out of his body. Get out of him. Come out. Come out, evil spirits. Come out, evil spirits. Come out, evil spirits. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I command you now to come out.
That's a lot of talk.
Okay, now one thing I do have to say. I mean, even though listening to it now, I was giggling, and part of the behind the scenes thing, we do the show by Skype, so I can see Anthony. Anthony can see me while the show's going on. You would not believe some of the faces that Anthony makes when he's listening to things or when I screw up. And then the other thing I want to say, Brother Carlos, you know, we're not doing this to ridicule him or anything like that. He truly was very sincere in his beliefs. It's just that personally, and I can't speak for Anthony, I just did not think that this was going to do anything. And I kind of think after it was all said and done, it pretty much proved that there really wasn't anything that really occurred.
Yeah, I don't know where my belief is on this. It's not 100%. I know that for sure. It's just like, you know, if somebody were to you know, put a camera in a haunted location, could I be affected with that if I'm here at home, you know, in my living room? You know, I don't know. People say that it doesn't matter where you are. Spirits have effects throughout, and that it can happen throughout. There is no known answer for any of that. So he could be accurate. He could be true. I just don't know. It's just from the belief that I've had, and maybe it's mostly because of Hollywood and the things that I have seen in documentaries and such, that you physically have to be there in person. I believe that you have to physically be there to spiritually fight if there are demonic evil entities, to spiritually fight these entities. And I don't think Skype or telephonetic, you know, mechanics can you know, be a method to help in any way. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, and certainly not mocking him at all. I just love his accent, and I love the way that his performance is. That's all.
I mean, I was waiting to see, like, you know, green pea soup come out of you and stuff like that, but unfortunately it just didn't happen.
No, I remember that episode, and I remember saying, you know, he asked me if I had felt anything. I remember feeling hot. There was that sensation of hot, but I don't know if it was because it was the experience of listening to him, and it was that energy that he was creating, and it was just creating that energy in me, and it was creating that heat energy in me. But I didn't feel anything different. You know, I still have, you know, if he was talking about my medical issues, I still have medical issues. There was nothing exorcised out of me. So that was our live on-air exorcism show. We didn't receive any callback or anything on that. We had kept in touch with Brother Carlos after, and he's still doing this. He has his YouTube channel. He still has his services. Believe it or not, he's been on NBC. He's been on a lot of different shows. I don't know if it's just a spectacle of the mainstream media and, you know, what they do to the paranormal. So, you know, good for him. He's getting his message out there, if that's what he's looking for. But we figured we'd have him on and show you all what was all about this whole telephone and Skype exorcism thing. So there you have it.
And to say something else is like, if someone truly believes that it helps, then you know what? Then that's a good thing. But for us, it was just to get the process out there, to let people know what he was doing, what it entailed.
So in November of 2013, about a month later after that show, we had, in between that show, Live on Air Exorcism, and November 8th, I had learned of something new, not learned of something new, but I had learned more of this topic of ghost sex. And the idea of, we've all heard about the incubus and the succubus, but the idea of ghost sex, not that it intrigued me, but the idea of ghost sex intrigued me that there were people out there in the world who were specifically seeking out ghost sex. They were wanting it. And the idea of wanting ghost sex was intriguing enough. And the psychology of that was interesting to try and find out what mentality did you need to have in order to want to have ghost sex and the need to have ghost sex. And so we had a guest on, and her name is Patty Negri, who has talked about this many, many times. She's a psychic medium. She lives in California. She's a what I call a Hollywood psychic. She has been on many shows, many documentaries. She lives amongst the stars. She has done psychic readings for stars as well, and for celebrities. And so we wanted to have her on to talk about ghost sex, and specifically during the interview, Luci had asked her a question about celebrity ghost sex and wanting to know about, I think it was at the time, Kesha had come out with her proclamation of her experience with a ghost and a sexual experience with a ghost. And so we wanted to sort of talk about that topic with her, and Luci asked Patty the question about it. But was there anything that interested you in this area, in this topic with Patty?
Well, besides from the sensationalism about people, there were a couple television shows that actually talked about this subject, and, they involved, several women talking about how, they had been romantically involved with these spirits. But what really, I was more curious about the side where, I guess there were a couple stories involved in these shows where they talk about loved ones, and how that bond of love that was so strong while the person was here on this side, that it continued on to the other side, which, the giggling and the naughty side, push that aside. It sounds like something that could really happen. If there's a bond between two people, a love that is there while both parties are alive, can this bond continue to the other side? And Patty pretty much kind of said, yeah, that can happen. And when you think about it, if you love somebody with all their heart, I can see where that is. But it's kind of like, where do you separate the sensational part about it from the true part about it? So I think it was pretty interesting. It gave me a couple giggles. So let's hear the clip.
All right, so here's a clip from that show, Ghost Sex, with Patty Negri, and this is Luci asking Patty about the celebrities during that time in November of 2013, and what she thought about the idea of the celebrities coming forward, and I think if there were any other ones, or what were some of sort of the behind the scenes of why celebrities came out with these stories. Was it for publicity, or was it for something else? So let's take a listen to this.
Well, we can't talk about sexual ghost encounters without talking about some of the celebrities that have confessed to having one. We've got Anna Nicole Smith, Luci Liu, Kesha. Now, these women are almost proud to announce their experience. So, Patty, you're familiar with Hollywood life. Are there more celebrities out there having ghost sex and just not admitting it?
I am so surprised you said about Luci Liu. She is I haven't seen her in a few years. She's back in New York, but she's a friend of mine, and I had no idea. I took her. She was new in L.A. I took her to the big earthquake we had, the '94 earthquake. She sat on my lap for 24 hours shaking. She was my apartment next door girl. So we were good close friends for a long time, and I had no idea. I've got to go call her.
You got to ask her about that now.
Yeah, I do. And I do know the Anna Nicole story, and yeah, it is kind of big people in life, big people in death. It is kind of either a badge. If it's not a badge of shame, it's a badge of honor. But to Hollywood, who's all about what's making Hollywood stand out, what's making you special, what's making you different, because that's what your career and that's what your popularity is based on. And again, if you're not one of those people who this is a bad or evil thing, it rates right up there with I dated Brad Pitt, or whoever dated Brad Pitt.
Could it just be, trying to get publicity too? I mean,
sure. It certainly can be. Again, knowing Luci, she's not that kind of girl. Anna Nicole Smith, she's not. You don't see her out there. Anna Nicole Smith, I can't speak for or vouch for. I don't know her, and she was a little bit of a sensationalist and that. But Luci's not. Luci's not. That would be nothing to serve her, or nothing to push forward her particular style or persona.
It's interesting that the more and more of the celebrities within the last year or two, I think, have come out more with paranormal stories. And they had that show, I can't remember what channel it was on, but the Celebrity Ghost Stories, the title of Celebrity Ghost Stories, I can't remember what channel it was on, if it was A&E or not.
Bio channel.
It was a bio channel? Mm-hmm. You could be right. And so more and more of that paranormal truth has been revealed, and so maybe it may have been sort of like, let me jump on the bandwagon and catch some publicity. And when people say something, obviously when people say something very odd and very weird and what the hell was that, people will turn their head and start to Google and do that search and boost their ratings a little bit. And, sad to say, but celebrities tend to do that right around the time that they're about to reveal a movie, a new TV show, whatever it is, so that they get, more of that publicity, more of that airtime. And so that's one of the things that we were thinking, and I think Patty was in agreement with it. But you can tell in that clip a little bit that Patty was fighting that idea when it came to her friend Luci Liu. And it was sort of an internal battle with her. And I don't know. Luci Liu hasn't been in that many movies lately. And so it could have been something that she tried to rebirth her career again, and it probably just didn't work. I mean, it really didn't work. It just, faded away, and that's what happened. But, the idea of these celebrities coming out with these ghost stories was intriguing enough. And we didn't just talk about celebrities. We talked about everything in ghost sex. We talked about what the whole mystery was in it. And like I had talked about before, what was the whole sensation of people wanting it? It was a really interesting show to talk about, and I thought it was sort of going to be a whole giggly thing, but it really wasn't. Patty was pretty professional and very kind-hearted and very open discussion with Patty. There's no holds barred. So if you have 45 minutes to spare, You don't have to listen to us babble on afterwards. But if you have 45 minutes just to listen to her interview, go back to November 8th, 2013 in our archives, and you can check out that interview. It's pretty interesting. And it's not just about incubus and succubus. That's normally what you hear on a lot of these paranormal shows. It's more to paranormal and ghost sex than just incubus and succubus.
And just to give a shout-out to Patty, she's very, very high energy, very pleasant, and it was a real pleasure talking to her.
Yeah, it was. And funny enough, I just told Luci right before the show started that Patty was in a documentary of the guests that we are having on next week. So keep that in mind as we reveal who our guest is coming up next week. So let's move on to Valentine's Day, February 14th. Luci, take this one.
This was a very special show. If you follow on our Facebook page, if you watch Sci-Fi, these guys that spent Valentine's Day with us were on a show which you might remember called Deep South Paranormal. We spent Valentine's Day with the Bama Boys, Keith Ramsey, Benny Reed, and Jonathan Hodges. A musician, one of them is an HR generalist, and the other is an Army soldier. And these guys are all from Huntsville, Alabama. They are funny, they are rowdy, and they were so much fun to talk to. And they came on the show, and they spent some time with us, and they talked about first experiences that they had with the paranormal. They talked about the South and the paranormal, and they talk about their investigations, and it was just a great show. I mean, these guys were so much fun to talk to.
And so, of course, because it was Valentine's Day, at the very end of the interview, Luci had to ask the question that probably embarrassed them all. Probably something no man wants to hear out loud. And so I'm going to play the clip that I have. It's about a minute and a half that Luci asked them, and you're going to hear the response from, I think it was from Keith, and then you're going to hear the eloquent response from Benny Reed. And then you're going to hear Luci giggle in flirtatiousness. Here we go.
Well, I know everybody is just waiting to meet you guys. But I have one more question, okay? And I've been very curious about this. What did you guys get the lady in your life today? And sorry, ladies, they are all taken.
Go ahead, Jonathan. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, we're on our way back to Texas, and I can't say because it's at the house.
Say what?
Okay.
We're coming through Louisiana on the way back to Alabama, and it's at the house. So I can't say because she's driving.
Let me just repeat for all those beautiful ladies listening out there tonight. As Barry White would say, let the Bama Boys keep you warm on this cold Valentine's night. And, Valentine's shouldn't be a one-day affair. You should show the one you love how much you love them every day. So presents shouldn't be exchanged and for this marketing ploy from the man to buy flowers at a high price rate. You should tell the one you love them every day. So you remember that out there, men. When you're talking to you ladies, you tell the special one in your life tonight that you love them. You love them right.
I love it.
I think I'm tingling.
Luci's tingling.
No, I'm tingling.
You're tingling. They are a great bunch of guys, and that was Keith in the very beginning talking. He was driving. Well, he wasn't driving. He was the passenger. His wife, right? That was his wife at the time. His wife was driving back to, I believe it was Alabama, And so that's why you heard the wind in the background, and he was sort of inaudible at times during that interview, and everybody kept yelling at him to shut his window down, to close his window, and he said, no, I got to keep smoking. He needed to smoke. So I had to mute him. I had to mute his line a couple of times during the interview because it was hard to hear Jonathan and Benny when they were speaking. So it was a difficult interview to keep it going so that everyone was able to be heard. But they were a great bunch of guys. Benny and Jonathan and Keith were awesome. The Bama Boys, it's sad to say, though, too, because we just heard just recently that Sci-Fi has officially not renewed. I know that there were some petitions that were being put up, and they were trying to get the show Deep South Paranormal back on and to renew it back on to the Sci-Fi Channel. But Sci-Fi came out with a publicity letter, I think it was like within a week or two, that said officially that they were not going to renew them again. So that's not to say that they won't be back anywhere else, or they could be back in some other form. But the Bama Boys right now, I think, are touring around the country, so you can probably catch them at some kind of conference.
They're doing some investigations at different locations, so you can pretty much meet up with Benny and Jonathan. I believe Keith has officially left the Bama Boys, and he's concentrating on his music career, but we still have Benny, and we still got Jonathan. And you guys, if you're listening, we love you. You're always welcome back, and be sure to bring some moonshine.
Oh, God, that moonshine. And, of course, we've had Hart Fortenberry on, and if you all had a hard time listening to Keith and Benny just now, go back into our archives and listen to Hart Fortenberry speak to us. If this was a difficult interview, that was completely difficult to understand and to keep the conversation going, because Hart is a soul in himself. And bless his heart, he is a one-of-a-kind gentleman, a completely one-of-a-kind gentleman. All right.
Probably the first interview that you need closed caption on.
Yeah, how do you do closed caption on the radio? All right, so moving along, so we've got a bunch of clips that I do want to get to. Moving along is the next show in the lineup, which is my favorite show.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite. Go ahead.
These people are probably two of our favorite people around within the paranormal, and just all over the place. I mean, these people are two of the most interesting, funny, and knowledgeable people around. And we're talking about none other than Mark and Debbie Constantino. They joined us. It was back on March 21st to 2014. We spent another night with the husband and wife paranormal team, and they specialize in EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, and they are considered to be the best at what they do. And you all know them from the shows that they've been featured on. They've been featured on Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State. They are on radio. They are in print, and they came on the show. This was the second time that we talked to them. And, any time that Mark and Debbie come to the show, it is always fun, and it is an experience, and you learn so much. And this time they talked about how technology improved, with paranormal investigating, how humans and the dead use the technology. Can we teach spirits how to use the equipment that we have? Because you think about it, you go on a paranormal investigation, and we're just naturally assuming that the spirits are going to be able to manipulate and use whatever we have in order to communicate. But is that really the case? I mean, do we have to teach them or guide them how to use it? So they got into that. They got into a couple of things. They talked about the anticipation of they've always wanted to go to Valeska. They talked about EVPs and child voices. I mean, we've talked about this before. The EVPs that we get that sound like children. I mean, are we truly talking to children? They talked about investigators and how the actions that
investigators do when they go into locations? I mean, does that affect what you're getting? And then again, Debbie, she talked about her abilities as a sensitive. Now, does being a sensitive really help in obtaining these results?
You know, you truly know that this is a husband and wife team when you listen to them together on a phone call. This is this is a 5.5-minute clip, and the reason why this is a 5.5-minute clip, it's the longest of the clips that I have tonight, because I wanted you to listen to every single word and the interaction between Mark and Debbie. You don't get to hear it. You don't get to hear them this much when you do see them on Ghost Adventures. But these two are, first of all, they are the most hysterical couple to see live and in person. They are truly true people, original, down to earth.
They're real.
They're real. They are so real that it is disgusting how real that they are. And so we posed the question. I had posed the question to them about the Ouija board, and we've talked about this on our show many, many times about what's the difference between a Ouija board and a digital recorder. You know, in Luci and in my mind, we don't believe that there is a difference, and there's that whole stigma against the Ouija board and how evil and demonic it is. And yes, there can be that element to the Ouija board, but to us, the digital voice recorder can have that same effect, and nobody has given that stigma against the digital voice recorder. And so we wanted to ask the masters of EVPs and the folks who live on digital voice recorders if they have an opinion on whether or not there is a difference between the Ouija board and a digital voice recorder. And so this is both of their answers, and believe it or not, as a husband and wife team, they differed on this answer. So take a listen.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a question that I really, really have wanted to ask you guys. And we've talked about this on some of our other shows recently. But may I ask you, what do you think of Ouija boards? I mean, just how different are they from using a digital recorder?
You know, I don't think they are. I mean, there's absolutely a stigma to Ouija boards, and there will always be. But when you look at the nuts and bolts of communication with spirits, I really don't think we are doing anything different than what two people would be doing, sitting and putting their hands on the planchette and trying to open up a door to communications, because that's exactly what we're trying to do.
See, I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why.
Well, I wasn't done.
Well,
go ahead.
Well,
yeah.
just really quickly, you know, and it was just funny because I was just watching the reruns of Supernatural before you called, and you know they always have this little symbol on the ground, you know, and they stand in the symbol and they put, you know, Crawley to hell or whatever, but it's all about symbols. And you talked earlier, Anthony, about, you know, the Fox sisters and back in the day and spiritualists and all that.
Right.
Well, you know, you have Lilydale and you have these towns where mediums live. Now, in these towns, in these homes, I mean, it's like a gated community. You have to be voted in, and hopefully I'll retire there someday. But, you know, they have like little symbols actually built in the walls, you know, built in the wallpaper, just little portals, if you will. And everything, I mean, this board has been around forever. And, you know, I think, you know, it's the microchip in your brain when you're using these things. Now, if you're going to sit and use a Ouija board, you know, you hear stories all the time about how people, you know, you don't know if it was a used Ouija board or if somebody, you know, got at a garage sale, used it, but you hear brand new people using it and all these horrible stories. Could it be because of the symbolism on the board? Could it be a doorway, that icky things? You know, sometimes you'll get a good spirit, but sometimes icky things, you know, rubbing their hands together, say, ooh, they're getting ready to use it. Okay, come on, let's go. And, you know, that's kind of my theory a little bit. Secondly, you know, I've seen it work. I've seen two girls, you know, and it was at the Stanley. They put their fingers on it really lightly. This thing was racing off the board onto the tablecloth. And, you know, it's just like magic. Do I believe it works? Absolutely. Do I know enough about it to, you know, I have enough respect for it to know I don't understand magic in this lifetime. I don't want to use it. And it reminds me of Reagan in The Exorcist trying to get Captain Howdy. And that was the scariest movie in my world, and I don't think any movie could top that. And I can never get the picture out of my head of her head spinning around, and that I associate with the board. So for someone like me with that microchip in my head to use the board, I think it could set it off. Now, if somebody else like Bob Murch, who I love to death, one of the coolest people on the planet, who, you know, does all kinds of seminars on the Ouija board, I don't think he really uses it. I think he's got such a good high vibration. He's always laughing, always fun, very professional. I think he could probably use it very safely. Well, but I don't think I could, because I know what's out there. I know good, bad, ugly, and difference out there.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you kind of made my point. That's the stigma you have about the Ouija board. So before you sit down and if you ever tried to sit in front of one, you already have that thought in your head. So if you have that thought in your head, chances are you're going to make it come true. But what's the difference with when we watch the planchette flying off the board, what's the difference with us turning a recorder on and getting a Class A EVP?
No, I get that, but I've also...
Still, we're opening the same door.
Right.
And the same things can be walking through that door just in a different way.
Right, but I also have the... Oh, hang on one second. You tell them about Adam Blind.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Well, we know somebody who just kind of believes that, you know, when you put your hand on the planchette, you know, you're becoming like the conduit, you know, because it's literally kind of going through you. But, but like I was saying, I really don't think we're doing a whole lot different when we take a recorder and we say, hey, guys, you know, we mean you no harm. You know, we want to see if there's anybody in here that would like to communicate with us. I mean, we're holding the recorder up. You know, I don't think we're holding it with our hand. I mean, I absolutely believe that our energy is part of the whole equation as far as recording EVP or someone that, you know, when Debbie and I take photographs, you know, we hardly ever get anything in photographs.
Well, I do. We just don't take them.
You'll run into people who have this uncanny ability to pick up stuff in photographs. Right. So to me, it's almost like the more you work with whatever you choose to work with, the more your energy becomes a part of the piece of equipment you're using.
It's almost like mechanical mediumship, if you will.
Yeah, you got that from me.
Well, there was a book we had about that from overseas. It was called Mechanical Mediumship, and how you actually imprint your energy into the machine.
Yeah.
I love Mark at the end right there. Yeah, He's trying to make an argument. Yeah, you learned that from me. And she'd say, no, I got it from the book. Yeah, I love them. And I have to say, I agree with Mark. You know, just as he was explaining, you're holding the digital recorder. Just as what Debbie was saying, your hand is on the planchette. You have that connection. But your hand is on that digital recorder. It's the same thing. And you are communicating. Even though the recorder is physically not moving, or you're not wanting that digital recorder to move, you are still communicating. And that device can be that conduit, as Debbie was talking about, to any portal that can open up, just as the Ouija board can.
Well, see, my thing with the Ouija board is, you know, as you said, I don't believe that it's any different from the digital recorder. And I really, honestly, and we've talked about this before, I really believe it's the media that has given the bad name to the Ouija board. I really want to hear from the person that has the first-hand experience. I've always said that everything that I've heard is always, you know, well, my cousin, or I know somebody, or a friend of a friend, and it's almost like it's always like a third-party or a second-party story. I want to hear from the person who's actually touched that Ouija board and had a bad experience. We've used it. We've used it at a couple locations. And, you know, nothing has really happened, but I'm not saying that it can't happen. But for our experience, we haven't had anything really bad happen. I still just think it's another tool in the arsenal that we have as paranormal investigators. And it's just getting a bad rap. Now, as far as Mark and Debbie goes, they are always so much fun to talk to. I mean, you can just put them on the air and just let them go, and I guarantee you're going to have a good time.
She's amazing. I love her. She has so much to say. She's great in person as well. When they do their panel discussions, she usually tends to try and take over. It's always fun to watch them, and you know, even though they have that husband and wife battle when they do talk, they have great things to say and insightful things to say, both of them, and they are amazing people. And I look forward to watching them, and I try and keep up to date with what they're doing. And I was so excited for them because when they were on our show, they wanted to go to Villisca, and we were talking to them about that because we had already been there, and that was always a dream of Debbie's, to go to the Villisca Axe Murder House. And we had talked to them and sort of gave them some pointers, not pointers, but we were giving them some, details on our investigation and maybe some areas of where to go and what to do, and they were taking that advice, and then they were giving us advice on was it for Pennhurst?
Mhm.
I think it's at that time we were ready to go to Pennhurst at that time, so they were giving us some pointers, and so it was cool to exchange that with one of the great folks within the paranormal community, Mark and Debbie Constantino. So I wanted to thank them for coming on. They're always a great guest to have on the show, and I know our listeners love to hear them, and they shared with us some of their evidence as well. They always do, and they're just great people.
Well, you know what? Like I said, they're really, really great people to talk to, and they have been putting on these con-cons, and if you get a chance to go to one of these and you get a chance to investigate alongside with them, it is truly an experience. So you owe it to yourself. If you can make it to one of their con-cons, you need to do it. I mean, you will definitely learn something, and you will have an awesome, awesome time.
All right, where are we going to next, and what are we doing next?
I think we should bring on one of our callers. We have someone who's been sitting in queue, and I'm going to bring them on air, okay?
You got it.
Hi, area code 587. Who is this?
The power of Christ compels you. Wait, come hey, guys.
Is it the deviled egg lady?
It sure is.
Hi, Connie.
Hi.
Thank you, Connie. Happy anniversary to you too, and thank you so much. You are so near and dear to us. We love you, both of us. We love you for sticking by us for so long. I don't know how the hell you did it.
Wait,
for everything.
Before you go further, the check you sent me bounced.
Oh, it bounced? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right,
I need a bank draft.
Okay, I'll send it out again. Don't worry.
Well,
told you not to bring that up on air. All right, so Connie, you're going to stick with us. Go ahead, Lucy.
Connie, one thing I have to mention. Connie is part of the Sons of Anarchy contingent.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, SOA all the way.
Boy. That's right. Okay. Okay, you may continue now.
I have to say that my favorite show by far was the show where Luci is called a bitch by a spirit in the prison, and Lucy's tail feathers got all ruffled.
That's my favorite show too.
Yeah. When we go on paranormal investigations, especially when we seem to go to prisons, I seem to get this response most of the time. Every time we do a spirit box session, which happens to be my favorite piece of equipment, I always get these endearing messages from the spirits that are there.
Yeah, I can't say it gets much more endearing than that.
And of course, Anthony just enjoys it, But
I just enjoy other people cursing you out. That's all.
I know.
Besides me. All right. So,
Luci, what's
your
favorite show, Luci? What is
my
the favorite
show?
one you've done?
My favorite shows, they have to be the live investigations. I love the live investigations that we do because it's not just us, it's us bringing all of you guys, all of the listeners there with us, and it gives us that extra little energy that maybe I think it really has helped in the locations. I think the interactions that we have with people over the phone, we're literally bringing you into that location with us. And by people asking questions over the phone, by people listening, I think we've had some really, really good responses and interactions. So for me, it's always the live investigations. I love those shows the best.
And what about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I do like the live investigation shows too, but I like it when it's more of a free talk. I love our guests. I love having the guests and having that protocol. I love giving, if it's an author, if it's, someone on television. I love doing that. But the most fun part for me is after that interview, or if we have an entire show where it's either open caller night, or if it's just Luci and I babbling, or if it's like when we have those round table discussions, any of those shows where it's just a casual conversation type thing, and it's sort of like a no holds barred, anything can happen, and we don't know where the conversation is going to go. Those are fun. Those I like.
That's always the best part.
Yeah,
always the best
part.
Well,
I should let you guys go so you can continue on. I'm loving tonight's show.
Oh, cool. Did you want to hang out with us and listen to the clips as we went along? And if you wanted to comment, you can comment. If not, we can let you go.
No, sure, I'll hang out. I got nothing better to do. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Mystery science theater thing, kind of can just comment along as we play the clips.
Sounds
or she can laugh at you.
That too.
All right, so let's get on to, because we got how many more do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 more clips. So we're halfway through. All right, so let's get to, where is this? The Ben Hansen Show. What are you doing, Luci?
Ben Hansen. I'm answering a private message.
Why are you answering a private message?
Because I got one.
Of course it is about you, Connie. Okay,
no,
Ben
actually,
Hansen.
One of our listeners in the chat room was sending a private message asking about how we interact with people in chat, how we interact with our listeners. So that's something that we can talk about later on. But just trying to keep the show moving.
Okay. Just ask the question. So our next clip is about Ben Hansen, star of Sci-Fi's Fact or Fake. This aired in March 28th of this year. And we've had Ben Hansen on a few times on the show, and he's a great guy, great gentleman. And on the first show that we had Ben Hansen on, he, in conversation with him, he alluded to the fact that his grandfather was possibly connected with the Roswell crash and with the Air Force, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And it was towards the end of the interview that we had on the first time that we had Ben Hansen on. So we didn't get a chance to get into a full conversation about it. And when we had the chance to have him on the second time, which was in March 28th of this year, we made it a point to have more of a discussion on it because I found it fascinating, first of all, for someone to find out or to find clues to the fact that a member of your family could possibly have been a part or been sort of connected with such a high-level, top-secret mission. I just thought it was really interesting. And for someone who is of his level and has been a celebrity and has been in the FBI as well, to learn about that and to be able then to further dig and find more information, I thought that was really interesting. So I had posed the question to him to see if he had learned any more information since the last time we had him on the show. And this is the conversation that we had with him, which we thought was really, really interesting. Did you want to add anything, Lucy?
Well, I mean, honestly, to hear this kind of revelation it's kind of like, you know, you read the books, you read about all the things that happen, you know, you to hear actually kind of like that tidbit come through, it just kind of makes the whole thing a little bit more real, and it opens up a little bit more of a avenue for you to look into. I mean, we all hear stories. You can hear stories about certain events, and they're stories. But to actually hear about a personal experience makes it real, and Ben certainly did that for us.
Connie, were you ever a Factor Faked or a Ben Hansen fan?
Always.
Oh, you were?
I love that show. Yeah. Actually, here almost every night Bill has it on the Sci-Fi Network, and we're watching Something Alien.
You know what? We want to give a shout out to Bill, okay? Bill, thank you for putting up with Connie. Okay.
I'm in the other room because he wants to watch a movie and he knows that I'm on the phone, so he's being all quiet, listening really quietly to his movie.
Aww.
No, I want to stay on the phone all the time. It's nice. It's quiet for a change.
All right, so here's a clip with Ben Hansen talking about his grandfather and some of the history that he was able to sort of find out and what he reveals to us on the interview that we did back in March. Here we go. You know, one of the most interesting things that we talked about with you the last time that you were on our show was about your grandfather and how you and your family were slowly starting to sort of uncover his, I guess I can say, his career at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and maybe some possible links to Roswell or other UFO crashes. Have you learned anything new since the last time you were on the show, which was in 2012, about him, or are you able to share any new insights that may help the UFO community that you've learned?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you ask that because I'll be putting this together more in a lecture I'm going to be giving at the Roswell convention coming up, and so I really haven't talked about it with anyone because we're still trying to get documents to back this up. But as I had explained before, my grandfather worked for the Air Force as a civilian engineer, and in about 1965 is when he started making these trips to different locations like Wright-Patterson, where, you know, he told my father, he said, look, I'm part of a special team and I have to leave it at moment's notice. Well, my dad was going through some of these letters that he had written him while he was at Wright-Patterson and found some of them addressed to my grandfather expressing his frustration because at 15 he had to become the man of the house and he's taking care of my sick grandmother. And anyways, he's looking at the address and he finds an address at the Fairborn Inn, or I don't remember the exact title, which is Fairborn is where, you know, Wright-Patterson is located between Fairborn and Dayton.
Right.
And so my dad starts doing some digging, and he actually called the city hall. He talked to people there, found somebody who grew up in the area even that worked there at City Hall and says that address is a vacant lot. As long as I remember being a little girl, there's not been a building there. Which is very strange because if true, he was writing my grandpa at some type of drop box, like a mail drop, where that no one was actually staying, but they didn't want anyone to know that they were there.
It was a pretty interesting conversation, and he had said that he was still compiling some of that information for the conference that he was going to be attending in the near future at the time that this show had aired. So it was pretty interesting to find out that he was still formulating some information, still gathering some of that stuff. But hell, I mean, if I would have found some information like that, I'd be excited as shit to find out that someone in my family was somehow connected to Roswell or some sort of UFO, big cover-up, top-secret mission type thing. You know how I am with UFOs.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that. If you listen to this show, you do know that UFOs, that's what excites Anthony. And usually when we have a show that has to do with anything extraterrestrial or UFOs, I just slink to the background and just giggle and let Anthony go.
I still have never seen one. It has never happened to me. But Connie, have you ever had a UFO experience?
No. I
no?
swear I was found in a Cabbage Patch field somewhere. I'm not a sister. Anyone who knows me agrees, but no, I haven't found my home.
Have you seen the Great Pumpkin?
No. All I see is big holes in dirt lately. In the ground.
I've never seen. You said you did, Luci, right?
Yes, I have. I've seen one. I've seen one when I was growing up.
Was that when they were dropping you off, or?
No. They were relatives coming to visit. No, actually, what I saw was, it was in my teens, and I was in the car. I was sitting in the back seat. My dad was driving, and you know how it's a long drive, and you just kind of like stare out the window. And actually, what I had seen was a kind of like a half a saucer shaped thing in the sky, but it had lights going across the side of it. And never really thought anything of it. I really wasn't into UFOs or that. But now, after the fact, after all the things that we're learning and stuff, it really dawned on me that I had seen something like this and never said anything about it, which I think is probably the MO for most people. If they do see something, a lot of times people don't really relate what they see. So all of these experiences that people have, all these sightings and stuff, I mean, of course, nowadays, yes, more people are coming forward. But I think before, a lot of people never really brought forth what they've experienced or seen. And that was the case with me. I saw it, never said anything about it, just kind of just filed it away. And then now, after the fact, I feel kind of lucky that I have been able to see something like that.
Well,
I think a lot of people... Oh,
go ahead, Connie. No, go ahead, Connie.
I was going to say a lot of people won't come forward because they are automatically labeled as crazy.
Well, everyone knows I'm crazy, so
Well, exactly.
No, it's true, because I do find that a lot more with the UFO community than with ghost sightings. You find more people sort of dismiss or think people more are mentally disturbed if they come forward with a UFO story than if they were to come forward with a ghost sighting story, don't you think?
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, even take it one step further from the sighting of the UFO. I mean, talk about the people that have actually been what they call abducted, or
right.
People don't talk about these things, but yet there are some amazing stories. I mean, Betty and Barney Hill, the gentleman, I can't remember his name, in Point Pleasant with Mothman. Noah.
Noah's getting beat up tonight. He probably deserves it too, right?
Always.
I do want to add, though, Ben Hansen, in that episode that we interviewed him back in March, on March 28th, Ben Hansen has a company called Night Vision Ops. And one of the things that we had talked about in the interview was this, I don't think it's a new phenomenon, but it was the phenomenon of where the UFO sightings at night were being filmed with night vision goggles or night vision cameras because they were not able to be seen with your naked eye, that you needed a night vision camera to be able to see them because they were sort of like invisible. And there were a lot of sightings that were coming from Mexico I think this was mid-last year, mid-2013. There were a lot of sightings coming out of Mexico. And during this time, I think Ben had gone to a conference where he met someone down there who had phenomenal evidence and pieces of evidence that he had caught that they were going to group up together again and do another conference to talk more about this. And with Ben's company, Night Vision Ops, where he does sell this equipment, they were going to sort of formulate some sort of, not group, but formulate some sort of community where they can support more of the UFO community and MUFON around the country to gather more evidence and gather more research into this phenomenon of these sort of night vision UFO sightings. So if you're interested in this area and want to learn more about what Ben Hansen is talking about, because he's sort of swaying away a little bit away from the sort of ghostly things that you sort of may think that he is related to. He is really hooked on UFOs, and he has gone all around the country to a lot of symposiums and a lot of conferences, and he is very well educated in UFOs. So if you're really interested, check him out. He's got his Facebook page. He's always doing stuff with the UFO community. He still does stuff within the ghostly paranormal stuff. He's actually doing something, I think, for Halloween. He's doing some ghost conference thing and ghost hunt thing, I think, on Halloween. But check him out on UFOs. He's got a great group of people that he travels with, very knowledgeable, and I highly recommend, even if you just befriend him on Facebook, he's really a great guy to talk to.
I'm laughing because Mateo brought up in the chat room if anyone had heard the Benny and Barney Hill interview tape.
Benny and Barney Hill.
Benny.
We have the craziest chat room.
Benny Hill was an abductee.
Yeah, Benny Hill. Okay, all right, let's move on. We got to keep the show going because I want to get to all these clips. All right, talk about our next show, our next clip.
Okay, the next clip was with, this was from April of 2014, April 4th, and we actually talked to probably one of the most knowledgeable and probably well-known people in the paranormal, Lloyd Auerbach. Lloyd is a parapsychologist. He's a paranormal investigator. He's a mentalist. He's director of the Office of Paranormal Investigations and president of the Forever Family Foundation. And he joined us that night to talk about proper paranormal education and issues within paranormal shows. Talking to Lloyd was truly an experience. There are certain people that just totally amaze me. This is one of them. Just the perspectives that he brings forth and the knowledge that he has. I mean, it was a true honor to speak with him.
He was really saddened at the fact that nobody wants to. He's seeing a decline in the way that people are educating themselves or getting into the education and the research that we all need to within the paranormal community. He's seeing a huge decline in it, and he thinks that the media and television is playing a big part of it. Creating that hype and creating the newbies who want to go out there, who have just watched, Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, and now are going to this next, conference, ghost hunt, blah, 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 at some place, and they've just went online and bought some equipment, an EMF meter, and they've got a flashlight in hand, and now they're calling themselves an investigator, and they're going to these places, and nobody's really educating themselves before they're walking into these places, and he's saddened by that, and he thinks that because of that, it is bringing the community down, and I kind of agree with him. Not kind of, I do agree with him that it is. And I know you do too. And so one of the areas that we got into, we did talk about the proper education and the proper techniques, the proper ways that we all should be conducting ourselves, whether we are in groups or not, how we should be conducting ourselves within the paranormal. And one of the things that he stresses on, and he teaches as well, obviously, is education and research and all of the areas that you should be learning about before even stepping foot out of your door to further your career, your hobby, your whatever in the paranormal, these are the things that you should be doing. And it was a very educational interview that we did with him. But one of the questions that we had asked him was about television shows and what was his thoughts on the paranormal media out there right now and what it was missing. And so here's a little bit of a clip of that interview, and I sort of interjected my little opinion about television shows, and then he goes into what paranormal shows are missing right now. So take a listen to this. There's many reality and non-reality based paranormal shows on television now that actually leave me biting my tongue at times. And I understand that airing what a true life paranormal investigation looks like on TV would probably be considered boring and not exciting to most people. But what I don't understand is why we need to create this tough guy attitude or give that sex appeal in these programs. To me, it's almost demoralizing in a way. What do you think the paranormal shows are missing?
Well, they're missing the ghost story. They're missing the actual experiences people have, and they're missing the thing that needs to be investigated. And even the shows where they're ostensibly doing that, like Paranormal State, supposedly did that, but Paranormal State was heavily edited for a very specific perspective, a demonic perspective, to scare people. And there were a number of people who came out of the woodwork who were featured on the show, or clients on the show, who talk about how their story was completely twisted. So we're missing truth. We're missing the human element, which is the most important element. Whether they're living humans or dead humans, it's the most important element. And it's always in favor of the characters. These shows are not about investigations. They're about the teams. They're about the people on those teams. They're basically running soap operas about putting these people in different situations. Kind of like Survivor.
That's exactly it. and that is exactly it. It's like Survivor. It's all cameras are focused on the hosts and the quote-unquote celebrities of these shows, and, it's all focused on them. It's not about what he says, what Lloyd says is the truth, and that is exactly what Luci and I have been talking about. And, Paratruth Radio, who's talking in chat right now, hence their name, Paratruth Radio, talking about truth. That's what we're all talking about, and what we're all looking for is that truth. And in order to search for the truth, you need to speak the truth. You need to do the truth. You need to be true to yourself and true to the world, true to the research, true to the paranormal. And so if it smells bad, it is bad. And so I agree completely with Lloyd in his assessment of television and media, and his outlook on the entire community. If you have that same mindset, I would really, and I hate to keep doing this with all of these clips, but really go back to April 4th. If you go back in our archives, really listen to Lloyd. You don't have to listen to any of us afterwards, but listen to Lloyd and what he has to say, because and if you want to, you don't even have to listen to us. Go to, if you do, just do a Google search on Lloyd Auerbach. You can really check out what he's all about, and some of the organizations that he's affiliated with, and what he is heavily into, and what his messages are, and what his mission is. It really tells what kind of person he's all about, and what his mission is and what his messages are is what the paranormal should be about. I just agree with him completely.
No, it was really, really interesting, and the points that he brought up, yes. I like what he said. I mean, what are these shows missing? They're missing the ghost story. And that's basically what I think we need to get back to. I mean, we want to find out about the actual experience, not the people that are being featured. It should be about the experience itself.
Yeah, I agree. I know, Connie, what do you? I don't know if you remember that episode, but do you think? I'm sure you've watched. You say you watch sci-fi, and I'm sure you've watched Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. What do you think about? As a regular watcher of these paranormal shows, what do you think about them?
I think the shows are a joke. Especially, I hate to say it. Yeah, they're a total joke. You got Zach Baggins. Oh, I've had an experience every single time. I call BS on that because nobody has an experience every single time.
Right.
But I agree. There's not a lot of respect shown towards these people who have passed. Maybe they know they're here, maybe they don't know they're here. And you have people like Zach going in and they're yelling and screaming and no. Just, you know what, if you have an experience, have it. Don't taunt them. Just respect them. And, I know up here where I am now, I'm not going to say on air where I am now, but there's quite a few haunted places up here that I want to personally go check out after I've done the Googling of all these places. Know what you're getting yourself into.
Connie, you get phone service in Alcatraz, huh?
Sure do. It's easy to hide this sucker, let me tell you. I would like it. Keep it on vibrate.
No, but it's true. It seems as though that the shows, and I've noticed this with shows where it was not like this in the very beginning on a certain show, and it now is gearing towards this theme of more of a dramatic and then leaning towards a more of a demonic and evil feeling towards the location and towards the quote unquote evidence, and the dramatization of everything is sort of leaning towards, and as Lloyd says, that soap opera type of thing. And I get it. It's all, it's all production. It's all Hollywood. It's all hyped up so that it gathers people and it brings them to the television sets and it has their audience level increased higher. I get it all. And I understand that that's what television is supposed to do, but what it's doing is now it's creating it's creating a dark stain on the entire paranormal community. And what it's also doing is creating an attention span that is almost, and I may be probably condemned for saying this, but it's creating an ADD attention span for a lot of people out there, as Luci is waving her hand right now, that it creates that ADD attention span in people where they're only interested in something if there is something evil or demonic. If there is anything less than that, either it is not haunted or it's not paranormal, or this is crap. It's not worth my watching this at all. And that is what is creating this media, and it's turning these television shows into that, and that's what's becoming crap out there right now.
Yep. It's sensationalism. It's the scary story. It's I want to see the demons. It's not real. I mean, the chat room, basically what they're saying, I mean, it's creating a fallacy. It is, it's not real. I think in the beginning, yes, it was real, but I think as we've gone along, it's all about the ratings. Let's make it more sensational.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I see it. I used to love those shows. Now I just, oh, God, and I turn the channel.
Okay, so.
All right, so let's get to our next clip, which this one is, I think, one of my all-time favorites just because the first time we had them on the show, I was not able to be here. And so I got to actually have them on, and Luci was able to get them on for us. And we're talking about none other than the Dead Files, Amy, Alan, and Steve DeShavi. And we had them on, when did we have them on? We had them on
June 27th, 2014.
June 27th. And obviously it's always great to have them on. We've always talked about the Dead Files. It's one of our favorite shows, talking about television shows and paranormal. I think they're one of the truest ones. You may not believe Amy. It's sort of like you believe her or you don't. I find it interesting. We have asked the question, and we've talked to folks about her, and whether she's true or not, and everyone has said that she is true. There is not one bad comment. No one has come up with any fraud against them at all. And so as of right now, I believe them both. I can't think of anything otherwise. And so right now that Dead Files is one of my favorite shows. But anyway, one of the things that I had asked Amy when we had them on the show in June was there's got to be some way that she knows where she's going when she goes to these locations. And I had asked her, okay, she may not know I'm going to Toledo, Ohio, but she's got to know she's going to Ohio. She's got to know she's going to whatever state. And I was surprised at the answer that she gave me. And here's a little clip and the answer to that question. Here it is. And Amy, you don't receive any information before you go to a location. Basically, you may be given either the town. Am I correct in saying that? Oh, no, not even that.
No. Yeah. My protocol is I pack 2 huge bags that usually weigh about 100 pounds, and I get a lot of slack from the airline when I'm checking in. These are overweight. But anyways, I have to pack for any kind of weather, really, because I don't know where I'm going. So I like to be prepared. I've been caught many a time without boots, or I'm bringing winter clothing and it's summer, So it's just I just now pack for frickin' anything. I get to the airport, and many a time I'm met with, so where are you flying to? I don't know. You tell me. So I find out at the airport what state I'm going to. And sometimes I end up in that state, and sometimes I don't. There's been times where I've gotten off a plane in, I'm trying to think of the most recent, I think I got off the plane in, maybe was it, I don't even remember. Say I get off in Ohio and I end up in Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
I just get in the car with a driver and he drives me, however many hours to some hotel, and I get there and then I get driven to a location. So I never, usually I don't know where I am until maybe 24 to 48 hours after the walk takes place. And sometimes even then, I'm confused. I was very confused in North Carolina. I think I thought I was North Carolina, but I was in South Carolina for a week.
No,
so,
The opposite. We were in North Carolina. You thought you were in South Carolina.
Yeah, so...
It still screws you up.
I never know really where I'm at, so... But that's part of the protocol. That's my method, and I stick to it, so...
Can you imagine packing 2 huge suitcases and just not knowing where the hell you're going and walking to an airport?
It's usually how I travel.
Well, that is true. That is true, actually. It is true, and I can vouch for that, guys.
I don't fly.
But
My Betty Franklin either. I don't go.
Well, Steve and Amy are probably 2 of the best people that you can talk to. It's always been a pleasure talking to them. Amy is absolutely amazing, and Steve is just one heck of a guy. He really is. And it was a pleasure having them, and I can't wait to talk to them again. Okay, so basically what I want to do, we got a couple more callers in queue, and I would like to bring one of them on now. Let's see. Let's go to area code 408. Hi, who is this?
It's Mateo.
Yay! Mateo, yay!
How are you guys?
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Red Phantom.
Congratulations,
hey, Mateo.
guys. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on. And again, I want to say thank you to you and to Connie. We have you both on the air right now. I can just squeeze the both of you together right now, give you a big hug. And,
it's been a while.
and thank you both for sticking by our sides for all 3 years. It's been amazing. Every Friday night I look forward to coming on the air, and then as we load up the board on Blog Talk, I always look forward to seeing both of your names in the chat room. Otherwise, I worry, and Luci can vouch me. I go, what happened to Connie? Where's Mateo? Are they here tonight? Did they say anything?
Well, I mean, it's like if we don't see your names in there, we worry.
Yeah.
Well, you have my number. Hello, call me.
Yeah, but dialing Alcatraz, I can never get through.
No, call me and hang up repeatedly, please. No.
Okay.
That's the prison way, Luci.
Oh, sorry. It's been a while.
I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. I mean, your show is amazing, and one of the best things about you guys' show is that you guys as people are just as awesome as the show you produce. And it's easy to be a fan of the show and to stay a fan for such a long time. And I know it takes a lot of time and effort to produce a show like this. I just wanted to thank you guys and say congratulations.
Thank you. And you know that firsthand because you have an awesome show too, the Whatcast, which I'm a huge fan of. I love that show. You and Mike are just awesome on that. I love the way that you guys talk, and you have such a radio voice. I hate you for that. You know that, Mateo? I hate you.
Well, Mateo, if he fires me again, I'm always looking for work.
That's okay, Anthony. I'll take Lucy's spot. She can go with Mateo, whatever.
That's it.
You're fired, Lucy.
Here. But Mateo, thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for being there for us. You are awesome.
I want Mateo to hang on a minute because we have one more caller that I want to get on because I know there's going to be some mischief once we get him on. So get him on right now.
Okay. Area code 989. Who is this, please?
You don't even have to say the area code.
You do not want me on the air. This is Noah.
You don't have to say the area code.
Noah!
We know this one.
I'm sorry. Noah.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations. 3 years. That's awesome.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you so much. It has been an amazing time, and you especially, and it's so funny enough that you called in because the next clip that we have is of you.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that?
I did not know that. You have a clip of me. Okay. Here's where I get shy.
All right, so let's get into this clip. So, where are we? Where's our notes? Where's my notes? Let's see.
This was from July 11th. Well, actually, you've been on the show twice. July 11th and July 25th. And it's the role of religion in the paranormal, religion in the paranormal, what to believe and what to know with Professor Noah Tysick.
We've, for some reason, there's been this running theme for the past year about paranormal and the religion, and I think it's probably because of my cause, and, it's my doing. But I've tried to push the envelope a little bit, and I've been pushing people's buttons in the category of paranormal and religion, and I guess because it's been my own plight and my own fight in this area. But I think there's something to this, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed further just for, I think, clarification on things. But it's an interesting topic when you put paranormal and religion in the same sentence to talk about, and then when you throw Noah first of all in there, it's an amazing topic and an amazing discussion because he first of all he disgusts me with all the knowledge that he has about every religion possible, but it's never enough time, number one, in the 2-hour show that we have to discuss paranormal and religion. But when we get into these topics and Noah starts to bring up all of the knowledge that he has about the other different religions, and then when we get into the paranormal and correlating the two, it gets so intricate and it gets so fine into those details that you can branch off into so many different directions, and we tend to do that a little bit, and then trying to get back onto track or back onto the original road, it gets a little difficult. But I did want to play, and this is the second lengthy clip that we have. This is about a 5-minute clip, Noah. So we're going to hear a lot of you today. It is a clip from our show. I can't remember which one I have on this one now. Is it this is when I pushed the button about why Why is it that people who claim to have a belief in a religion where they obviously, if they believe in a religion, there is already a quote-unquote truth about the afterlife. So if there is a quote-unquote truth about the afterlife already based in their religion, why are they seeking truth in a paranormal search? And that was a question that I had posed to Noah in this. I didn't quite word it that way, but you'll hear me ask Noah this question, and Noah's going to go into an explanation, which I think will clarify it for you. Take a listen. So getting back into the paranormal a little bit, I have a question that actually may anger some people. Those of us who are active in the paranormal field, meaning going out and investigating, all say the same thing. They're searching for the truth. I've said it all the time. I've heard so many other people. There's so many websites out there. We seek the truth. We seek the truth. But 95%, and I could be wrong on this because this is, again, this is just something that from my research I've gathered. I haven't seen an actual legitimate statistic. But 95%, I think, of these people already believe in some sort of religion, some sort of theism. So if their religion already explains the afterlife, why do you think that they still need to search?
That is a wonderful question. And it brings, and I don't mean to anger people because I have the utmost respect, but I've watched everything about Lorraine Warren that I've been able to. And her answer to everything is, she always has a Catholic answer, you know, in the name of Christ, go away. You have holy water, you need to do this. But at the same time, then you have other people on these other shows come in, and they may have a Native American come in. And you're right, when your mind is already made up, what are you looking for? If you found the truth, why search for it? And I think that people that are sincere and really want to find the truth, they'll find it. And that reminds me of something that Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, he's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he was a good friend of Dr. Martin Luther King, and also a strong force that kind of, he was a big impetus for the whole civil rights movement here in the U.S., and he's still alive. He said that we should never say, I found the truth, but instead I have found a truth. Because truth is relative. It is not, and to me that means a lot. Other people say, no, truth is truth, and that's it. And that's where it's dangerous. And if it's dangerous, meaning not only for your mental well-being, but for the global consciousness, and also in terms of advancing as a human. We can't remain in that same frame of mind and go into something and think to learn something new, because it's pointless, as you indicate.
Yeah, I was just reading chat right now, and Keith Bradley posed a question, and he's asking if I'm looking for the truth or facts. As he mentions, as a Protestant, I don't believe in the religion tells us everything about the afterlife, devil in the details. I think truth and facts, I think, at this point right now, I think are the same thing to me. But as a Christian, my faith is telling me that the ghosts that I see in haunted locations are not actually the spirits of the deceased, that they are either angels or demons. That's what my black and white in the book, it tells me that is not who I am speaking to, that it is either an angel or most likely it's a demon in the form of my deceased grandmother or whoever. And there is no earthly bound ghost. We either go to heaven or hell, or some staging area maybe. That's the belief that I have from my religion. But as a paranormal investigator, I know I am talking to deceased members, and so I'm believing that because I'm experiencing it. I know it to be true, and so then that is now then turning my focus back onto my religion and saying, well, you can't be true then. If you're telling me what I am experiencing is not true, I have to now question your validity, meaning the Holy Book. So I don't know. I think that's the ultimate question for me right now, and I don't know if I'm ever going to find an answer. But I think it's healthy to have that ability to question things and to keep that open mind. And I'm lucky to actually have that. But for folks who already have a religious belief, would you think and are in the paranormal, would you categorize them as sort of rejecting their faith in order to confirm what they're believing?
I wouldn't say rejecting their faith. I would say expanding their spiritual base.
They're expanding their spiritual base. I like that.
I just like listening to Noah.
It's always been not always been, but it's been a huge conflict of mine for a while now. But I don't know if you guys, I kind of know, Connie, your stance on this. But, like, Mateo, what are your thoughts on paranormal and religion? I mean, I don't know, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but, like, I don't know how religious you are, and does your belief in religion have any effect on your belief in the paranormal?
For me, this is a great question because I'm a very religious person. I pray every single day. And growing up, my dad was into the same thing too, and the religion aspect of my life came from my dad and him wanting to go to churches and stuff like that. And that question lasted for a second. Because to me, it's all part of the same thing. I mean, the Bible talks about spirits. The Bible talks about dinosaurs. I mean, it was just all part of it. So there was never a conflict for me. I think that just like anything, the Bible has been changed and worded certain ways to steer people away from certain things. Like almost like a lot of religions have a big problem with like studying astrology. And why would you put like a limit on studying astrology? I mean, if we want to find out where we came from, that's where we're going to end up. If you want to believe, like the new thing now, life on Earth came from a meteor. All the compounds on this meteor sprung life to Earth. But yeah, who put that meteor there? So I mean, I think there's still room for a little bit of religion in the paranormal. I think they kind of go hand in hand. You got to believe in the devil if you believe in God. If you believe in God, you got to believe in spirit. So there was never really a conflict for me. I think people who are into the paranormal and super religious, I think that gives them a little leg up. That's a little bit more knowledge as far as where all this stuff comes from.
We have just a few minutes left, and then Luci's going to get into the promo for next week. But Noah, anything that you wanted to, now that you've heard your voice played live, did you want to add anything to that, or was there anything that you wanted to say in replace of that?
Keep it G-rated.
Absolutely.
I have to say that clip was beautiful. No, that was very well put, and that made me cheer a little bit. I love that clip.
Thank you so much. Actually, I still stand by that. I think that, as Mateo said, that spirituality doesn't cancel out our belief in the paranormal, because if people are true seekers, whether it be with the Holy Book that they believe in or through experience, they it simply validates that, or it can bring us to newer revelations. If you believe in the Bible, I mean, there's a lot of things in the Bible that people gloss over that they find disturbing, or they don't have an answer for, that they actually can find through experience. If you're a Christian, if you believe that Jesus was the Son of God, he came and he said that he was the Word, the Logos. And as the Logos, basically what he was saying is that everything that we've read prior to his birth is kind of not canceled out, but kind of pushed away and replaced with our experience. And at the same time, Buddhism and Hinduism teach the same thing. There's a certain set of guidelines that are brought to us, but from there, we kind of have to carry that proverbial torch. And so, I don't think that that religion and the paranormal collide. I think there's a lot more in common than people think. And I'll close with this. It's cyclical. Every 100 years, people they get very spiritual, and then they kind of fade into more of a humanistic view of life. Even with the 20th century, people believed in spiritualism and fairies up through about the 1930s, and then we've kind of left that. But now, as we approach the next 100 years, we'll notice in the next 15 years, people will continue to be interested in the paranormal, and it'll wane again. And that's not just our century, but if you go back to the Renaissance, people believed what was called the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages lasted up through, I'm trying to think, up through, I believe, it would be the 1500s, like 1528, and then people started thinking intellectually. And the Western idea of intellect versus spirituality is kind of a false dichotomy. And the reality is, I think what we're learning as humans is that there's not a separation. We don't have to separate the two, but we can be mindful and intellectual, but also feeling and spiritual and intuitive. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the next 100 years. I won't be here for that, but for the part that I'm here for, I'm excited to see what happens.
I wonder if after each 100 years we gain more of a knowledge and we sort of up a level. You know, each time we progress through these doorways, these 100-year doorways, that each time we're sort of progressing upwards. You know, I understand. I do agree with you that things are cyclical. I think it has something to do with the universe. But I'm hoping that at some point or some way, that each time that we're doing this or that we're going through all of this, that some way that there's some sort of payback, that we're getting something in exchange for this. And hopefully after so many periods of this, that there's going to be some sort of big reward or something that will come back to us in the end for all of this sort of, you know, going back to school again, sort of type of deal.
I think so, Anthony. And really quickly, we are at that point because His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, he has not named a successor, which means that the next Buddha will be the last Buddha. The next teacher will be the last teacher. Every religion basically is saying that this is kind of the last cycle of our development. And so I think that we live in a very exciting time, and that if we can not be tied up in dogma and ritual and look at, you know, what we perceive as truth and what we experience as truth combines into one, we're going to see a transformation that's really needed right now worldwide, given the state of everything. So I'm not going to take any more time. That's what I have for you guys, and I appreciate you letting me on.
Well, that's so great. And we appreciate having all of you on, Connie, Mateo, and Noah. Thank you so much. I mean, what a wonderful way to end the show, to have the three of the best people that we could possibly have on the show, sort of ending the show with us and ending our 3-year mark and beginning our 4th year into something that is going to be incredible. We've got some great shows that are going to be lined up. I don't want to take any more time. We've got under 2 minutes left. I'm going to give it away to Luci. Take it away, Luce.
Okay, well, you know what, guys? Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This has been a wonderful year. We want to thank all the guests. We want to thank all of our fans. You know, it's just been a pleasure doing this show, and the best is yet to come. So next week, let's talk about, you know, now that we've celebrated the 3 years on the air, we're not going to stop. So next week, we're going to continue the countdown to Halloween. And, of course, we're going to bring you something that just might scare the pants off of you. Kai Blackwood is the leader of a rock trio called Tokyo Death Squad. He's a writer, he's a director, and he is the subject of a documentary called I Sold My Soul to Satan. And the documentary tells the story of Kai's experience as he went through the process of actually making a deal with the devil, and he's going to be here next week to tell us what happened. So join us next Friday night and listen if you dare. Finally, before we end, I do have to thank you, Anthony, for putting up with me for 3 years. He's the true genius behind this show, and you have no idea how much he does to make this show happen. So until next week, Parapeeps, thank you so much for being real. Thank you for being there, and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Thank you, everybody listening. Thank you, Connie, Noah, Mateo, everybody in chat. Let's see who's left in chat. Lynn, Paratruth, Trina, Fritz, and all our guests. We love you all. Thanks for celebrating tonight. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.